Welcome to the Show Me the Way podcast. I am your host, Andrea Miller, and I'm so excited to bring this show to you. Show Me the Way is a podcast dedicated to exploring the journeys of those who have faced adversity and found themselves on unexpected paths. We will have meaningful, thoughtful conversations about challenges we have faced and how we discovered and forged new direction. Prepare to be inspired and to uncover your own strength as you listen to relatable and motivating stories. Life has a way of twisting and turning, and we often need a fresh perspective to understand how to navigate. Let's show each other the way. In today's episode, I had the joy of sitting down with the passionate and inspiring Melissa Welch. This conversation is extra special. It's the third introduction I've received from my dear networking friend, Christine Spradlin. And I'm happy to share Christine will be joining me this week, so you'll get to hear from her very soon. Melissa's journey is filled with determination, drive, and heart. From a young age, she dreamed of becoming a police officer, and she made that dream a reality. But inevitably, change happened, and although she loved her work in law enforcement, she pivoted into nursing and soon after became a nurse practitioner. Melissa cared for so many people and loved doing so, but soon realized she was neglecting her own health while so focused on work. That wake up call inspired her to prioritize wellness, which opened new doors in her personal and professional life. Today, she's thriving as a travel nurse practitioner, and she's guiding others in health and wellness, partnering with a close doctor friend to expand her impact. Melissa's story is a beautiful example of resilience, growth, and the power of serving others with joy. Through every twist and turn, she's leaned on mentors, friendships, and positivity to stay grounded and shine her light. Welcome back to the Show Me the Way podcast. Today, I'm pleased to be speaking with Melissa Welch. You may recall me giving credit to one of my biggest supporters, Christine Spradlin. I met her through a networking group, and she has been such a godsend to me. She introduced me to a couple of our guests so far, and here is another one. Melissa's a good friend of Christine, and after meeting Melissa in person, I really wanted to have her on the show. She is a wife, a boy mom like me, and she has so much life experience personally and professionally. Melissa is a nurse practitioner experienced in the emergency room, and she's co-founder and CEO of a healthier life consultation organization offering support and planning for health and wellness, including hormone replacement therapy. I met Melissa when she held a women's health presentation, and she's really touching on important information and solutions for women as they age and go through various changes in life, and they don't always know where to turn. I'm looking forward to hearing from Melissa and for us all to learn together. So welcome to the show, Melissa. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Great. And like I always do, I say a few things that I know about the guests, but give them a chance to tell us a little bit more about themselves as well. So if you want to share a little bit more about you, that would be great.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you. I'm Melissa Welch. As you said, I'm a mom, a boy mom. So I'm married. I have two sons, both of which are adults now. So life went by pretty fast with that. They're 21 and 18 now. So they're kind of doing their own thing in life, which is really exciting just watching them kind of grow and still be a part of all that now into their adulthood. I am a nurse practitioner. I've been a nurse practitioner now for 11 years. Prior to that, I was an ER tech for 2 years and an ER nurse for 8 years. So, about 21 years of ER experience. And prior to all that, actually, I was a Detroit police officer. So, I was a Detroit police officer for 3 years before I went into my nursing career. And then, as you mentioned, co-founder of A Healthier Life, just started that up actually earlier this year with one of my great friends, Dr. Tressa Gardner, and really just focusing on what brings me joy and wellness and helping other people and watching other people just feel great, be healthy, and just be themselves and supporting them through their journey. And that gives me so much joy. So a lot of different things throughout the years, but right now I feel like what we're doing is so positive and so wonderful. And I'm so thankful that you were able to join us for one of our educational sessions. And yeah, just out there, just trying to make a difference and helping women, especially through the midlife changes that we experience too. So everything's going awesome. Really excited about this.
That is wonderful. And yeah, I think this is becoming such an important topic. So, like, your timing is so great for starting your company because women they have so many questions and they don't really know what the future holds, and people talk about it all the time, but they really don't know exactly how to manage it necessarily, especially since every single person's so different. So, I love it and can't wait to hear more about that. And we'll definitely let you plug a little bit more of what you're doing during some point at this podcast.
For sure.
So, yeah, and you just kept saying you like to bring joy, it brings joy to you. That is a perfect example of what we're trying to do on the show as well. I really love hearing about people and how they've navigated and what brought them to what they're doing today and how they're finding joy in life. One of my favorite words. So I'm glad you brought that up. And with that, the podcast, the Show Me the Way podcast, many of you know, I started it because I really wanted to share the story of my son's journey. So I have 2 boys as well. One is 19. You're right. Like, it's so hard to navigate that age. They're like, they still need me, but they don't, I don't
Right.
know. And so he's 19. And then I have a 15-year-old getting ready to be 16 next month. And he has Duchenne muscular dystrophy. So he is full time in a wheelchair. We found out about that when he was 5. So it's been over 10 years. And when we found that out, it was probably the biggest challenge I've ever faced. And my husband and I, we didn't know where we were going to go next. We had to choose a new path and we had to turn left instead of right. And our whole forward life, everything we had been thinking about completely changed. And we knew we needed to create something different for our family. And ever since that time, I really love sharing the story because then others are like, oh, I went through that and here's what I did. And just knowing that we're all in this together, we're not alone, and people have faced all kinds of adversity and they've come out maybe stronger, maybe with different perspective, and we can all learn from it. And so I wanted to make this a podcast to allow me to share my story and then let other people share their stories as well. And sometimes it's I was going to be a teacher and I decided to do this. I was going to be a police officer and then I went into the medical field, or how did that happen? Sometimes it's I needed to move to another state. Sometimes it's just talking about life in general and all the different experiences. And then other times it is a medical diagnosis for themselves or for their children. So we've had a lot of great stories and it's been an awesome experience. It brings me joy. So I'm happy to do that here with you. And you can share whatever is on your heart. I'm sure just based on your little intro, you've been through so many different pivots and paths in life. So you'll have a lot to share with us.
No, for sure. Yeah, I think that's one thing that's really unique about everybody's journey through life is there's always different curveballs, and there's a lot of learning and growing that comes with that. I would say that my journey's had a couple of them through life so far. Ever since I was 9 years old, my only dream ever really was to be a police officer. I kind of figured one day I would probably get married, didn't want kids, just wanted to be a police officer. And I'm like, if I could be a police officer, life would be great. And so I was like an explorer in high school, rode with the police officers and learned so much from them. And I'm like, wow, to get paid and do this, life would be just so amazing. And so I did it. Like my only goal through is just like I need to graduate high school and then I can go join the Detroit Police Department. And so at 18 years old, I became a police officer working the streets of Detroit and I loved it. It was the greatest job. I have so many they're not coworkers, right? They're your brothers, your sisters. It's a familyhood. And so I really grew, learned a lot about myself and people and met people in crisis, which never really had that experience before. And so to feel that and impact that and be able to help support people and be with them in different types of situations, to me, that was a very humbling point in life. And being so young to be a part of somebody's crisis and try to help them, I felt like I was in the right place. And so I really, truly enjoyed that. I was there for about 3 years, maybe about two and a half or so. And then I met my husband and it was like instant love, instant everything, with decision talking about planning life. It was like, hey, you need to find something safer if we're going to have family and whatnot. So I made the decision after 3 years to leave the police department and go back to school. And that's where the nursing journey started. I went to college, didn't know what I wanted to do because I already did it, right? I already had the best job in the world. Now where do you start from that? So I end up finding a little pamphlet on a program about nursing, and I'm like, well, nursing might be kind of similar, especially if I could work in the ER. That would be like police work. I think I could do that. And thankfully, in my nursing school program, I met this wonderful instructor. Her name was Barb Smith, and she was the most beautiful woman. She's so nice, gentle, and her son was a police officer too. And she had knew my story and how I had changed careers, and she's like, "You want to come work for me? You come work with me in the emergency department." And so I worked with her as an ER tech throughout my nursing school and learned so much. And just having her there as an instructor, as a mentor early on, it was great. Life was great. And I'm like, this is exactly where I need to be. And then so with that, once I graduated nursing school, I just went into the emergency department, and life was great. Everything was good. And then I decided one day when my sister called and said, "Hey, I'm going to MP school." I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome. I'm really happy for you." And she's like, "Well, guess what?" I'm like, "What?" She's like, "You're going to do it with me." And I'm like, "Okay, I guess we're doing this together then. You're right." So I signed up and with her, and we both went to nurse practitioner school together. So that was really nice, just having the connection with her and this new journey and this new thing that we are starting off in. So with that, I met a wonderful physician that I was working with as I was a nurse, Dr. Tressa Gardner. And little did I know at that time I would be meeting one of my greatest mentors, friends, and somebody that was just truly inspiring through life. And she said, "As soon as you get done with MP school, I'm going to hire you." So I was like, "All right, cool. I already got a job. So this is going to be good." And so went through that, and she hired me and mentored me and taught me so much. When you talk about someone that is just driven and compassionate and really truly loves her job as an emergency physician, she's second to none. She's incredible. And she's athletic like myself. She likes helping people. She likes doing golfing events and whatnot. So her and I, we really kicked it off, had a blast, taking vacations together, hung out, and she's just truly been a wonderful person in my life. And everything was great. We really had a great time, and then COVID hit, and that's when things kind of spiraled, kind of once again, I would say. And so that's probably the hardest point in the career. We had to cut down staffing. You're working in the ER, and you don't know this virus. You don't really know what's going on. You're seeing people die from it, and there's just a lot of confusion where we never had that before. So with that became a stress, like making sure you're coming home and taking everything off so you're not bringing anything to your family and not wanting to get your kids sick, your husband sick or whatnot. I think like at that point is where it kind of started. I would say I started focusing more on life and my job and not so much my health. I became so focused more on what I was doing. And just with COVID, like a lot of people's lives, I think changed during COVID, and so did mine. And with that, I definitely let my health go for sure. I just started focusing on work, and it was just about work and obviously the kids. But with that though, I wasn't it was more about them, and when I was off work and when I was at work, it was about work and not necessarily about my health. So I ended up gaining a bunch of weight and ended up being the biggest I'd ever been in life, and was not healthy, very uncomfortable. And so I made the decision that I had to change my life around. Like this wasn't working. And I can still remember the day, and it was April 27th, 2022. I woke up and I said, "This is the day. I'm not going to be like this anymore. I'm going to do what I have to do. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to not live for my job. I'm going to work on everything I can just to be healthy, not only for myself, but for my family, and get everything back in order." And I don't do anything half. I do everything full force. So I went at it as hard as I could. I started tracking everything I was eating, everything I was drinking, and found a trainer and somebody that would hold me accountable and question, like, "Why did you eat this much fat? Like, what's going on with your protein?" And really kept me in check. And her name was Tammy, and she was phenomenal. And she really helped coach me and let me understand what it took to be healthy as far as nutrition and your macronutrients and what you needed to do to keep your body healthy, which being a nurse and a nurse practitioner, I was aware of it, but I'd never really implement it to myself. It was okay to tell other people what they needed to do, but to not bring it, to me or make myself accountable. This was different. And so I started a weight loss journey, and it was probably about 6 or 7 months in, we started talking, and it got brought up about doing a bodybuilding competition. I was like, yeah, I would love to do that. Let's do it. So we end up counting down, picked out the date and everything, picked out the outfit, the costumes, everything. And it just like went from probably 0 to 50 to 50 to 100, and it was all in. And I think it was March of 2023, right at the end of March, is when I did my first competition and got up on stage and went up there and showed everybody what I did. And so it was definitely a proud moment. I wasn't really nervous. I was more excited, and it felt like this was an accomplishment. But I wanted people to see, like, hey, this is where I was, this is where I am, and you can do it too. Anybody, if I can do it, you can do it. And there was a lot of pride in that. So once I got off that stage, I'm like, man, this is wonderful. How can I start helping other people? And so I really started focusing on maybe nurse coaching, or what's a way that I can use my knowledge, my resources that I already have, and I can bring this to other people and help people. And just started really researching that. And then July 2023, so just a couple months thereafter, I got probably like the worst news in my life. With my role as a nurse practitioner for the company I was working for, with Dr. Gardner as my mentor, I had a leadership position. And there was talks with another VP who was talking about retiring, potentially taking his position, and possibly a promotion. And I thought that with this company that I had been with for about 9 years, that it was nothing but just, gold around me. Like, everything was perfect. Life was perfect. Everything was untouchable. It was just everything that I thought it would be. And then it all kind of came crashing down. We found out the business went bankrupt. And so we had about 6 weeks of notice that the company was shutting down. And so you have like all these dreams and aspirations just shut down to really nothing. Then it was, if I'm going to have a job, where am I going to work? How am I going to support my family? And so, with that, thankfully, the emergency department I was working in, they decided to keep us there. Obviously, they still needed people to work there. And so they hired us and brought us on, and which I was very thankful for, because it was very stressful. But then it kind of spiraled into a little bit of depression at that point, too. And so I still push forward and trying to educate myself as far as like nurse coaching, because I was still so passionate about health and wanting to help other people. But they knew at that same time I was broken. And I think it was more of my heart was broken, because I'd had it set on something so much higher, and to have that just kind of swept underneath you, and not have any idea about it, that was very hard, and it did hurt. And it did take a while to really kind of come out from that darkness of losing that dream, and still just keep pushing forward with the aspiration of, there's something better to this. You have health, you can help other people, and that really kind of kept me just driven. And I started doing meditation and just trying to focus breathing and stress relief, and people at work started noticing, like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm meditating before I come in here, and it's wonderful. And so I was able to kind of realize, like, hey, you're burnt out, you're stressed, you're going through a lot, you need to rethink this. You know that no job is ever really guaranteed. So what's your backup plan? What are you going to do if this happens again or whatnot? So it took a lot of self-reflection and understanding that, I had a family to support. And I mean, obviously my husband's there too, but I always want to contribute. I want to make sure that I'm there to help. And with that, Dr. Gardner and I started talking, and then we decided that both with our aspirations of health and just being active and healthy living, that together we could build something big. And that's when we decided to build the healthier life. So it's kind of funny. We came up with the name at the airport right around the time that we had found out that the company was closing down. So we were both at this point like, okay, what's our next? What are we doing now? And I think just having that great mindset of just her and I together really thinking this out was able to build this. And we didn't jump into it right away. we built the format of this over about a year and a half of really just thinking, what do we want this to look like? Who do we want to help? What do we want to do? And really focus on our passion and our love as far as where we want to help others and where we feel like really make a difference. And so we grew it. And then just this year, in March 1st of this year, we decided to go forward with it. And so we're both in the emergency department now. I have, since that whole kind of burnout thing, I found that I have a huge passion for travel. I've always loved traveling. So what I've done is change my ER world to a travel ER. So now I've combined that passion. I've gotten out of burnout. Wow, experiencing that though was terrible. When you feel like you're healthy and you're on top of the world and then mentally just have something crash around you. It's devastating, and then it's a whole different type of strength that you have to come up with. Not physical now, right? Now it's mental. And so I was able to turn that passion of traveling and the ER into, now that's what I do, mostly part time, and then developing this business where I find so much joy in helping other people, whether it's men, women, their energy, their just life changes, they're struggling in that, and really provide solutions and answers and get them to really feel like themselves again. It is where I'm at now in life. And I couldn't be happier. I feel like I have the best of both worlds. I have the perfect ER world. I have a medical director now that I'm working with probably 50% of the time. And he is super smart and just so positive, and he brings a new light to the ER. Everybody around him just really enjoys that. And so to have him in a traveling atmosphere and now a healthier life on top of it, and it's crazy. But with all the the curveballs we've been given in life and everything else, it was all growing, but it was all with strength. And so now I met you and able to share my story. And I'm just so thankful. And I don't think that without these experiences, I would be who I am today. So really, it made me stronger. And I'm definitely forever thankful for that, for sure.
That is an incredible story, and I really like how you framed it and how you put it together. It's exactly what I'm trying to do with this podcast. So thank you so much for like walking us through all of that. I wrote down so many things. So I love, like I said, that you said what brings me joy, and throughout this whole journey, you continue to go after that. And I also wrote down passion and love, and that's what I try to do. I think life is too short for us to be missing that. I mean, obviously, like my husband will say, "Who loves their job?" I'm like, "Well, there are people that love their jobs out there." And maybe not all the time. I mean, there's a lot of stress that goes with it. I know with him and his job, it's he's carrying the weight for our family, so I'm sure there's a lot of additional stress, but it's like you have to find something that brings you joy, because how are you gonna get through life without that? So I love that you kept going back to that. And the other thing that I wrote down that I think is awesome is how many mentors and coaches and important pivotal people that you have met and given credit to throughout your journey. I think that's awesome. And what I'm thinking as I continue to move forward with this podcast and for season 2, I'm going to really focus a lot around community and family and mentors and people that have really helped us with the pivot, because I don't think we would be able to do it alone. So I love that you recognize that. I think that's awesome. And I need you to meet both of my sisters, because one of them is also a travel nurse. So I'm
Oh,
listening to you talk and I'm like, oh, she needs to talk to my sister. I
yeah.
think I love what you said about burnout, like how that kind of helped you with burnout. Yeah.
Yeah. It's about finding your passion, right? So when you find that there's something that is, there's a loss of love there, I would describe
Yeah.
it, right? And it's like, okay, so what else brings you joy? And just trying to think outside the box of how can I make something that I know I truly love and
Mhm.
wanted to be here, how do I reignite that? And
Right.
so it's a lot of self kind of thinking, and a lot of just really thinking about yourself, where you're at, what got you to this point. And it's not easy. It doesn't come overnight, but
No, and I think everyone questions, but I think she would really relate to what you're saying, because she has been a labor and delivery nurse for like 20 years.
oh wow.
And she, I think it's the same thing. Like she loves the hospitals, but yeah, it's like, what else can I do to take on to add my passion, she loves to travel too. And so, yeah, it does seem like it's a lot, but she does seem like she's tapping into something that really makes an impact for her. And then my other sister is a physical therapist, but she's really into health and wellness. And I was telling her that she should look into coaching or doing more with all of the knowledge, and like you, she has direct experience, like, she changed her diet, she works out like crazy. She's not just speaking, she's, like, actually doing it as well, and I was like, "You should talk to this woman I just met, Melissa. She is doing a lot of what I think you could do," and I told her she needs to learn more about menopause and how to help women because I think she'd be great, and I was like, "You should meet Melissa, so you need to meet both of my sisters."
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's exciting though too. I mean, especially too, like you talk about your sister being so active and athletic. And I feel like other people are drawn to that, especially people that don't know where to start or don't know how to begin. Like there's a drive where they want to, but they're like, how do I do it? How do I do it? And so for like your sister and I think that's a one valuable piece that we bring to people. It's like, hey, you can do this. And it's really just like that support and just helping people kind of get past that point. Cause I think once people really get started, then they really keep going with it, which is great.
Mhm, and I wrote down the word driven twice because that should be your middle name.
Oh,
It
that's
it
funny.
doesn't seem like you half-ass anything, so
No.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, it's always full force. It's always 100. And unfortunately it's everything in life. My husband and I are getting ready to go on just a short little trip, just the two of us, and it was like the Griswold family vacation. Like everything's timed out. We got to be here by here. We got to see this, do this, and not miss anything. I'm very much driven and I feel that other people though, people feed off that. People love that. And I think also having that history of being a police officer, I'm not afraid to ask why. Like, hey, what are we doing here? Why didn't we do this? What's going on? And just really having open conversation and the communication with people. It's very interesting. But then also too, I feel like having other people feel accountable when they don't want to be accountable and really kind of helping them drive that to get to where they want to be and with that accountability is so valuable. And I think that's another piece that I truly like. And I think it goes back to your about being driven. It's like I'm driven, I'm gonna help you be driven too. And how are we gonna
Mhm.
do this, you know? So I love
Yeah, and I respect that you it seems along your whole journey, it's always like, "How can I give back to others? How can I serve to others? Or how can I take all of my experience and teach others?" And that's pretty respectable for sure.
yeah, that's definitely a huge passion of mine. I think though too, not only that, but it's always like you always want to have a smile on your face. You want to enlighten people in a world where like for instance during in COVID, like I said, I lost myself, right? I stopped taking care of myself and gained weight. I was like, gosh, what am I doing? And so to realize passion and to have somebody like I mentioned Tammy, right? Somebody with a smile on their face, somebody that's like happy and driven. It's like you feed off positivity. And I feel like with that positivity and having someone that's driven and focused to help you be better for yourself, that is just something to so be thankful for, especially when we're dealing with different things in life. Like she didn't know what was going on in my life all the time. She knew I worked too much, but outside that, she didn't know. But just to have like someone positive in your corner, as you mentioned, like all my mentors in life, gosh, I've just been so lucky. And there's one physician that I truly love. She's like one of my greatest friends, and you should probably interview her one day. But anyways,
I would love to.
yeah, her name's Christine Perry. You want to talk about a woman of strength and just being surrounded by strong women. I've been so lucky. I've been so privileged in life to have so many just like wonderful people just keep, as you describe them, as pivots, right, in life and to help keep focus. And I feel like with them, it's allowed me to really grow and help others too and keep that drive and that passion alive. Like when I walk into a patient's room, I love it when the first thing they say is, "I love your smile." Because then they know I'm happy to be there. I want to be there. And for them to see that as soon as I walk in the room, I'm like, God, that's got to be a really good feeling to have somebody just come in that you're in a stressful environment, you're in the ER, and someone walks in with a smile, like ready to help you. I think it's my biggest compliment, actually. So, but yeah, life is crazy with all the pivots, but gosh, having amazing people in your corner, it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, that is excellent. And you're right about the smile thing. In any mark of life, in any situation where somebody's preparing to serve you, if they look like they hate their life, it changes your whole outlook on what's going to happen with this interaction as well.
Yeah, I think it reflects the level of confidence in the person too, right? So if they walk in and they have a smile on their face, you know, like they want to be here, they're gonna help you. Where if like they walk in the room, they're not smiling, they're kind of grumpy, like, "Hey, why are you here?" You kind of probably lose confidence a little bit, or like, "Gosh, am I gonna get the help I need? Is my son gonna get the help that they need?" And I hear your story too about your son and my husband and I we had a tragic accident right after COVID. It was the summer of COVID, July 2020. And my son was in an ATV accident and was ran over, went over a cliff, and was subsequently ran over. And thankfully, by the grace of God, I was off work that day and not too far from the accident. And so I was able to ride with him to the ambulance to the hospital, and the hospital did everything right, everything right. They ran a trauma on him, and the only thing he was complaining of was neck pain. And, I felt like they were on the ball, and I was really happy with everything, especially being an ER person. And then when they took his collar off his neck and tried to get him to sit up, and something wasn't right, he wasn't acting right. He couldn't hold his head up, and I'm like, "Hey guys, we're missing something." Long story short of it, he was misdiagnosed. He had multiple neck fractures. He had upper spine fractures, pelvis fracture, and it was all missed. Somebody had stated that all of his imaging was normal, and it wasn't. There was a bunch of fractures that were missed. And I'm so thankful that I was there and to really kind of clue in that something was wrong. And not that there wasn't confidence in the room, but it was the confidence to know that there was something was off. But the trauma surgeon, I will never forget, because I said, I don't want to be the mom. I don't want to be the overprotective, the helicopter mother, but I really truly feel like something's wrong. We're missing something. And he's like, "You know what? I agree with you." And he goes, "We're going to get more imaging. We're going to get MRIs." And that's where they end up finding everything was actually on the MRIs, because the CTs were misdiagnosed. And I'm so thankful that he sat there, talked to me, listened to me, because I don't know, my son, he would probably be a quadriplegic today or whatnot had he had one miss accident after that neck fracture. And so, going back to the confidence and a smile and just listening to people and hearing what they have to say, it's really life changing for people. And when people have comfort with that and reassurance that they're going to get help or be heard, it is a lot, and that's kind of to my purpose, I feel like, in life with, a healthier life. Everything I do, I listen to my patients. "Tell me how you're feeling. What are you feeling?" And a lot of it's based on how they're feeling. Of course, we look at blood work and look at numbers and that, but I wanna hear you. I wanna hear what's going on and how you feel and how I can help you. And it's definitely a different approach, but I feel like it's a more passionate approach and, one that's often taken for granted when you're just not really having that communication or that comfort and confidence with your patients. So that taught me a lot too.
I'm sure. Yeah. And then to your point, the person that speaks with you understands that they're being listened to instead of so many women. I mean, even listening to your presentation, so many women don't receive the right direction, or they ask a question and the doctor says, "You're fine. This is normal. This is typical." I hear people all the time say, "Oh, it's because of this. It's because," and it's like, what if it's not? What if there's something else? Like, don't just assume that because you're getting to a certain age, all of this stuff is going to happen to you and it's normal and you just have to live with it. And so I really do like your approach. And that is a good segue. I want you to talk more about the healthier you and what you guys are doing, and how people can connect with you on that. I just was really blown away when you presented. First of all, speaking of confidence, like just listening to you, it was like, wow, okay, she knows what she's talking about. But secondly, you're not just like hey, I'm a coach. No, you said, okay, I have medical background. You have there's so much experience that you bring to it. And I really loved what you said about you and your partner, your doctor partner, that you planned for like a year and a half before you fully moved forward. I think I tend to do a lot of things messy. It's like, let's just do it. But sometimes you should jump in. I agree. But sometimes it's like, no, wait, really plan it out so that when you do bring it to people and when you do decide to serve, you know that you've checked all your boxes. And again, that word confidence, you can feel confident that you took all the steps you needed to take before just giving people all of this health and wellness advice.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel like the fact that I mean, we're both middle-aged, Dr. Gardner and myself, so we're about 10 years apart, maybe, I think. So, but we're at a couple different stages when you talk about like menopausal, perimenopausal, and through that area. So she's already kind of been there, done that, where I'm kind of there, you know. So it's kind of interesting. But together we realize the opportunity that there is really when it comes to menopause. There's so many like testosterone clinics out there for men. Like you can drive down the road, you can see tons of testosterone clinics. Like they're here, there, game day, wherever. And so guys are easy, and I have no problem with that. Like the guy patients are great. I will take the guys; they're super easy because they really have one that you need to fix, right? One hormone, and so women are not like women. It's more complex, and not only you have the estrogen, the progesterone, the testosterone, and then once the estrogen's down, then the thyroid becomes off, and so it's really multifactorial. But again, it comes back to just listening and the communication. And I feel that so many women could be in just such a better place if they were actually really heard. And it's like we gotta stop just looking at numbers and look at what the patient is saying. How are you feeling? You know, when is this occurring and whatnot? And really just taking that step back. Like you have the knowledge, but really listening and taking into account what you can do to help. One thing that we talked about in that presentation too is like a lot of times women are treated for depression when it's a hormonal issue. And unfortunately, like they get on all these meds and it's they need progesterone or they need other type of hormone therapy to really get them to be themselves again. Then it's just life changing. And so I think with Dr. Gardner and I both being very I would say strong women. We're both pretty strong, but you know, just strong, driven, like with a purpose. Everything we do is with purpose. And so having that and knowing that we could really make a change and make people's lives so much better is just like, how could you not want to do this or be a part of this and really want to be driven to make something great for other people? And so, yeah, we did take that year and a half and really plotted it out, had meetings like, what do we want to do? What do we want to focus on? And it was just more of like developing a niche, the practice, protocols. Everything's laid out. Like we have everything set. And so when we were ready to go, we went day one. The one thing that I love too is that, you know, we don't do a whole lot of marketing. We do social media for sure. And so, you know, patients can always find us or people that want to learn about us can always find us on social media, mostly Facebook and Instagram. And we obviously have our website too, but most of the patients that come to us are referrals, which is great because that know that you've made a difference in somebody's life and that person's talking about it. Like, hey, check them out. They helped me. This is what they've done. And what better way to have a patient feel confident coming to you that has never met you, but knowing that they know somebody that you've already helped. And not only is that a great compliment for us, but also too, I think it gives a level of confidence to the people coming to us knowing that we're there and we're there to help them. And so we really rely on that word of mouth and just like spreading the word that we're here to help, we're here to listen, we're compassionate, we're driven, and we're going to do everything we can to try to help you get back to being yourself again. And that's really where we just thrive. We just love it.
That is wonderful. And I'll be sure to share all of the information about your organization in our show notes so people can definitely find you. But you are spot on about the referrals. I'm a realtor as well. So those are my favorite clients, the ones that know somebody that you've already helped because they're already confident and it's just a much smoother process. So you're spot on. And it's very easy to refer somebody that has helped you to your friends. It's free to do that. So that's a
Exactly.
little reminder to everybody today.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and even Christine, she's been amazing with, she keeps feeding my list of people that need to be on the podcast. I want her to be on the podcast.
Oh my
She
god.
needs to be next.
She is, when you talk about just, like, pure hearts and just a pure
Mhm.
soul of a wonderful person, she is it spot on, and I'm fortunate to have met her as a neighbor, and that's how our friendship started, so to love your neighbor was, like, great, and then, now I got this best friend on top of it, so with that was truly a blessing too, but she is definitely a wonderful person.
For sure, for sure. So, yeah, gosh, you've given us I keep saying this. I had a guest on here a few months ago who says, "Leave a nugget everywhere you go." And so every time I have guests, I'm like, "You've given us so many great nuggets." You really have, and I think people are gonna really enjoy again, everybody has twists and turns and pivots. Everybody has, "This is exactly what I'm gonna do," and then surprise, surprise, life doesn't go exactly as planned. And I swear when I was in my early 20s, I did not think anything would change. I
Yeah.
would get married, I'd have kids, everything was gonna go like, I hate the word normal, but that's just what I thought, and then, gosh, life can turn on a dime, and you just don't even expect it, and I think I wish I would have known back then what I know now because my perspective is so different and you've really shown us that. So, yeah, sometimes people have a specific time in life where things completely changed, but you just showed how you had curveballs along the whole way and what you've decided to do with that. And I love how you took your driven attitude to continue to live with purpose and to continue to try to serve others in any way that you could. So, I love all of that. I just have a couple of questions I before I let you get back to your busy day.
Yeah.
I love to touch on moms, like, when they're doing things like this and when they're driven and when they have these businesses, like, what do your sons see? How do you think they would describe what their mom is doing?
Well, I have so of my 2 sons, they're 3 years apart, but they're totally opposite people. If one likes rock and roll, the other one likes rap. If one is more introverted, the next one's extroverted. So they're totally opposite people. So I think that depending on which one you ask, there would be quite different answers. But I would say to my oldest son, James, he would probably go on the driven part and that he thinks is good helping other people. And he's very much a compassionate person. He's a very sensitive, loving soul. So I think that he would find and he would tell you that there's a lot of joy in it. He likes being able to see that I'm helping people. I'm sure he would like me not to be traveling as much too. I think they would both kind of agree on that part. But I think the younger one would just flat out say I'm crazy. So he would just be like, "Mom's crazy. She just goes all the time." But that's the one that's more like me. So he's very much driven. He's always on the go and whatnot. So he wouldn't have much room to talk. But I would say that he's definitely both would probably say they're proud, but, one I think would find it more joyful and really seeing that as it's a reward and would like seeing it, and the other one would just think that I'm just crazy, just keeps going all the time.
But definitely, I'm sure they see a lot in that and they think, "I could do things too. Look at my mom. I could be crazy too."
For sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh, that's great. And then the other thing that really hit me was when you were talking so much about I wasn't myself. I needed to come back to myself. I gained a little bit of weight. I was depressed. You recognize those things in yourself and you wanted to fix them yourself. And I think that's something I see in people and you think, "Oh, maybe they'd be happier if they were healthier or maybe they would be happier if they were able to walk 20 minutes a day or add some kind of movement. Maybe they'd be happier if they weren't so stressed with their job." But you can't really tell another person what they should do. They really need to find it themselves. Or even the women that are listening right now and thinking, "Oh, I really could talk to somebody more about some of the hormonal changes that I'm going through, but I don't know if I'm going to make the call. I don't know if I'm going to visit the website." What do you say to someone who's a little stuck and you're like, you don't feel like yourself? You need to take a step forward, but recognize that it needs to kind of be their decision.
Yeah, so I would say my one question that I always be like is why? Why do you feel this way? Why what do you think you can do to change and why do you holding yourself back? What's stopping you? And I would say you don't need to live like that. There's opportunities out there where you can be yourself again. So it's just a matter of Who do you want to be? How do you want to feel? And why? What's the why as to not taking that next step or not making the call or not getting up and just changing? And so I think that it takes a lot of self-reflection. And a lot of times too, when I'm meeting with patients and talking with patients, a lot of it is there's a lot of why, you know. How are you feeling? What symptoms are you having? And are you working out? Okay, no. Okay, are you getting a 10,000 steps a day? No. Okay, so why not? What can we do to change this? And so it's a lot of why and what. I feel that though, a lot of times people need not only the education, but they need to really just find that strength and making that first step as to answering that why and then coming up with maybe a potential solution, rather that's talking to somebody or doing research to see is what they can do to really help themselves. But I think like why is just the greatest thing, and just knowing that if you can answer that why, maybe you can, maybe you can't. And if you can't, know that there's always somebody out there to help you and then also help answer that for you. What can we do to stop the why? If you want to feel yourself again, let's talk about how you're feeling and how we can change it. And I really feel like education and communication are the two most important things in life. And if you have good communication and you have the knowledge and the education for yourself to know, that's just going to make you the strongest person there is. That's it. That's is really
Mhm.
what you need. And with that communication comes support. And know that for all my patients, I'm always here for support. I offer more of a concierge service. I like to be very one on one. It's very intimate when you're talking to somebody about their libido or their sex drive and that's very sensitive information. So to have somebody where you can feel comfortable just answering those whys and or them out loud and so we can address them, I feel is very important too. So I do like that concierge aspect where we can bring that more personalized care to a patient. If you have the why, then let's go, let's talk, let's meet, and let's see exactly how we can help you. That's exactly what we want to do. We want to help people and just really get people feeling themselves again. And that's just wonderful to see it. I love it.
That is great. I love what you were saying. And again, it goes back to not being afraid to ask for support, to reach out to people. That really just hit me. You kept saying that throughout your whole discussion of your journey, like how many people made an impact on you and are continuing to make an impact on you. So that's another thing for our listeners. Don't be afraid to ask for support or find those strong people and surround yourself with them. It's not a weakness to go after a group of people that can support you. So
For
love
sure.
that. Well, this has been an awesome conversation. I'm smiling from ear to ear and I'm feeling like, okay, get up, go find those 10,000 steps today.
Drink some water. Get down
Yeah,
10,000 steps in. Let's
drink the
go.
water. Yeah, I have a 8.5 pound dog and we take a walk every morning, but it is not 10,000 steps because I think she would kill me if I took her for a little bit longer, but maybe I just need to do my own
Right?
separate walk. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I find actually too, like just walking on the incline, find a great show, like a TV show, movie, and just on the treadmill, gym, home, wherever, put it on an incline, just real slow, 1.8, 2 miles per hour, and just walk with it and watch and listen. Next thing you know, you're a couple miles in and feeling good. So
Yeah. Oh,
you can
that's
make it
great.
easy. We can help with that too.
Right, for sure. Well, awesome. I'm going to share, like I said, all the information about your company and what you guys are doing in our show notes. But yeah, this has been full of nuggets. I have all kinds of notes and all kinds of things for our listeners to take. Really appreciate you being here. I'll give you one opportunity if there's anything else you think you missed, but you certainly shared a lot of nuggets.
Yeah, for sure. There was definitely a lot. Well, I want to thank you, Andrea. Thank you for having me on here. It was a pleasure just to kind of talk about the story and really the true passion in life. And I would say the nugget is just know that wherever you're going through in life, whatever pivot you're at, whatever's going on, just know that you're never alone. There's always somebody there, whether it's a mentor, a business like us who can provide like a personal concierge service to you. Just know that life is about being positive, and if you find that you're having a hard time with that, reach out to somebody that is right, because I feel like having that positivity and having that motivation that comes with positivity really is just going to change your outlook on life. And life's too short. You really got to get the reins on it and just enjoy it and make the best of it. So I would say that know that you're never alone. We're here. I'm sure there's always somebody there too, but know that you're not different than anybody else. We all have these pivots in life, and just keep that positive attitude and that momentum going forward, and everything works out. Thank you.
Just dropped the pen on that one. That was
Mic
great.
drop.
Mic drop. Thank you so much for all that you shared. I think you were a perfect guest for this show because what you're sharing, what you're doing, a lot of that is what I'm trying to give to others, to just show that you can get through difficult times and there is perspective to be learned. So, thank you so much for being a guest. I cannot wait to drop this and for all our listeners to hear from you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrea. I appreciate you having me once again, and I look forward to talking to you in the future.
Thank you for joining me for the Show Me the Way podcast. I truly appreciate you tuning in to today's episode about overcoming adversity and finding your path. I hope it brought you new insights, empowered you with perspective, and inspired you to find joy in your journey. If this episode touched your heart, don't forget to leave a quick review as it will help us reach and motivate more people. Until next time, keep seeking the light and showing the way.